From the pantheon of Mesopotamian gods, two are born as polar opposite sisters, fathered by the sky god Anu. These siblings, Ereshkigal and Ishtar, are goddesses of the underworld and heavens respectively. Ishtar, the heavenly mistress, is treated favorably, spoiled heavily by the rest of the gods. Ereshkigal, on the other hand, is isolated in Irkalla, the Mesopotamian underworld, presiding over it as queen of the great below. In contrast to her sister, Ereshkigal is refined, calm, and introverted, fulfilling her duty without complaint. Her powers as a goddess are fruitful, as she can manipulate the growth and decay of crops, command dominance over dragons and snakes, and delegate tasks to her Garula familiars. Despite the pride she takes in her position as goddess of death and decline, she envies those who are beautiful and mocks the hideous. Humans, whom she is to supervise, are of the unsightly nature she detests, yet she shows compassion in that she wishes to provide the souls of the dead a comfortable resting place. Alas, she is limited to creating cages to confine them. Normally, the souls of the dead grow faint and disappear, freezing into ice. While this could be considered torture, Ereshkigal is able to preserve the souls in spear cages. Despite this form of compassion, both mortals and gods alike seem to fear her, the reverence being a token gesture to avoid her wrath. After all, in her domain, she reigns supreme. While the two sisters are thought to be divisions of a once single entity, they are generally unable to interact. Ereshkigal, especially, is forbidden to leave her own domain. This separation tempts Ishtar's whimsy, encouraging her to infiltrate the underworld and provoke her sister. Her method is reckless, however, charging upon Irkalla's 7 gates in an assault, adorned in treasures that enhance her power. In total, she has 7 treasures: a crown of wilderness, ruler of reeds, crystal accessories, pearl necklace, golden bracelet, brooch, and her own clothing. When Ishtar arrives at the first gate, its keeper, Neti, informs Ereshkigal about the intruder. As a defensive measure, Ereshkigal orders that the 7 gates be sealed, and Ishtar may only proceed through them after stripping off a treasure at each one. The plan works, as Ishtar arrives before her sister, both naked and powerless. The underworld's judges declare Ishtar to be a threat, and Ereshkigal settles the matter by repeatedly impaling her. The rivalry between the two sisters appears to conclude, as Ishtar is dead and confined to Irkalla. However, thanks to Ishtar's handmaiden, Ninshubur, the god Enki agrees to help rescue her. He dispatches minions, who revive Ishtar with the food and water of life. While Ishtar is permitted to leave, it comes at a cost. She is forced to send someone living down to the land of the dead to fill her place. In anger at her husband's infidelity, Ishtar sends him to reside in her spot in the underworld. Again, despite her position, Ereshkigal is reasonably compassionate, even toward her enviable sister. Once more, Ereshkigal's isolation spurs drama. The celestial gods above prepare a grand banquet, of which all gods are invited. Unfortunately, the celestial gods cannot venture into the underworld, much like Ereshkigal cannot ascend to the heavens. So that she may still partake in the banquet's luxurious feast, she is permitted to send an attendant on her behalf, one who can traverse between both realms. Thus, she recruits her trusted servant, Namtar, to ascend the long stairway to heaven and serve in her stead. Namtar, while not the underworld's goddess herself, is nonetheless graced with utmost courtesy by the attending gods. That is, all except one. As the gods welcome Namtar, kneeling out of reverence, Nergal, the god of war and pestilence, stubbornly refuses. This act is seen as an insult to all who witness it, slandering Ereshkigal's glory. They demand that Nergal make amends, to visit the goddess and request her forgiveness. Before Nergal ventures forth into Irkalla, he is first counseled by the god Ea, and is advised not to accept any of Ereshkigal's hospitality. No sitting, no cleansing, no eating, and in particular, should she arise from the bath in a fine dress, he must not bed with her as men and women do. Upon his descent, Nergal heeds Ea's advice, refusing Ereshkigal's humble attempts to make him comfortable. Instead, he comes bearing a gift, a throne made from various types of wood, as an offering of peace. His reception is amicable, but takes a more dramatic turn when Nergal catches glimpse of Ereshkigal disrobing for the bath. Weak to controlling his lust, Nergal embraces the goddess, who in turn takes him to bed. For 6 days, the two make love incessantly, such that Nergal can no longer keep up. Sated, he yearns to leave the underworld and asks Ereshkigal on the 7th day to allow him to return home. Even after promising to visit once more, Ereshkigal denies him in a fit of rage. In defiance, however, Nergal departs while she sleeps, fooling the gatekeepers by claiming to be delivering a message on behalf of their goddess. He escapes, unnoticed by anyone else. Ereshkigal wakes up the next morning, peacefully rising, indulging in a bath and breakfast. Confident in the confines of her domain, Ereshkigal enjoys her morning until Namtar reveals to her the truth of Nergal's disappearance. The goddess begins to lament, grieving her loss while falling off her throne onto the ground. She regains her footing, and, as tears stream down her cheeks, she cries out, "The lover of my delight! I did not have enough delight with him before he left!" Craving more of the man's lust, she once again orders Namtar to speak with the gods and relay a message to them. Namtar gathers an audience and recites Ereshkigal's demands. First, she emphasizes the loneliness she's had to face since childhood, and how Nergal's arrival quelled that loneliness for a time. She holds the gods responsible for this, as they had ordered him to visit to begin with. She claims Nergal left prematurely and requests he return for one more night. Should the gods deny her request, she threatens to seal off the underworld from ill-fated humans and even raise the dead to devour the living. In response, the gods permit Namtar to search for and seize Nergal. To their dismay, Nergal sits among them, safely disguised. Namtar returns to his mistress in shame, claiming that only one god stood out, one who simply sat there blinking and cringing. Ereshkigal insists that god was Nergal, and once more sends Namtar to find him. But again, he fails in the pursuit. Instead, it is Nergal himself who takes the initiative, striking down the underworld's gate guardians as he makes his way to the bottom. He arrives, clasping Ereshkigal's hair and pulling her off the throne. Another 6 days of lovemaking follow, and on the 7th day, they receive word from Anu. The sky god declares that Nergal has been banished from the upper world, assigned to be Ereshkigal's husband for eternity. It is said that the two of them continue to rule the underworld together. Much like her sisters, Ereshkigal's poems share a theme of fearing scornful women. Regardless, she rules the underworld all the way through the decline of the Age of Gods, never once knowing the world above. As the gods migrate to the reverse side of the world, Ereshkigal reflects on being an outcast. She yearns to one day be as free as Ishtar. She yearns to not be feared by others, claiming that even evil itself has its purpose in humanity. In the modern era, as humanity faces its incineration, a distorted singularity of Babylonia emerges, and Chaldea sends forth its only master, Ritsuka Fujimaru, to obtain the singularity's grail and restore it to normal. In this alternate world, the kingdom of Uruk, ruled by Gilgamesh, faces assault from divine forces, primarily the Gorgon. While Gilgamesh is busy releasing his treasures to construct a defensive wall, Uruk's elder priestess attempts to seek aid by summoning Ishtar as a heroic spirit. This, in itself, is an impossible feat, as gods are too powerful to be confined to such a meager shell. The only way for Ishtar to take such a form, then, is to possess the body of a mortal, limiting her strength in the process. That said, Ishtar will not accept an incompatible vessel, one that is unworthy of her beauty and might, so the Grail pulls from a separate timeline to procure none other than the talented mage, Rin Tosaka. In the form of a pseudo-servant, Ishtar is able to reach the Babylonian singularity as an archer-class heroic spirit. Of course, since Ishtar is the goddess of heaven and Ereshkigal is the goddess of the underworld, both sister servants are summoned simultaneously, their divinity inextricably linked as polar opposites. While Ishtar sleeps, Ereshkigal awakens in her body, though her true form remains in the underworld. Contrary to Ishtar, Ereshkigal is able to maintain her natural blonde hair. Her assimilation with Rin Tosaka has taken her inherent brutality and subdued it, only showing up once angered. In return, the goddess maintains her own principles, behaving far more humbly than the talented Magus. Throughout their journey, Ritsuka Fujimaru both meets and recruits Ishtar as a servant of Chaldea. Appearing only in Ishtar's slumber, Ereshkigal proceeds to saving Uruk in her own way, initially as part of the Three Goddess Alliance. She even goes so far as to dispatch her Garula minions to drag Gilgamesh to her domain. When Ritsuka's party learns that Gilgamesh has effectively been killed, they venture into the underworld to Ishtar's dismay. To reach the core, they must first complete trials at each of the underworld's gates. For every gate, Ritsuka is asked to choose between the two sisters, offering an easier battle for every choice favoring Ereshkigal. To further challenge them, since Ishtar lacks her adornments, her 7 treasures, she will lose a piece of divinity with each gate they pass. Midway, they encounter Gilgamesh, who had died but escaped the pursuit of Ereshkigal's Garula familiars. Regardless, the party decides to proceed deeper, this time with Gilgamesh as their guide, as the dead cannot simply leave without the goddess's permission. Thankfully, in his pursuit of a potion of youth, Gilgamesh became quite familiar with the underworld. At the bottom, Ereshkigal's chamber, the temperature falls drastically as the goddess consumes the room's heat. She reveals that she aims to save humanity by obtaining Uruk's Holy Grail and using it to create a haven for all to preside in the underworld. She is defeated in battle and insists that Ritsuka have her beheaded for her defiance, but is denied. Ritsuka believes in her goodness, even when Ereshkigal berates herself for wanting to kill all of Mesopotamia. Her alliance with the other goddesses is shattered, and Ritsuka encourages her to finally admit that she loves humanity, that ruling over their souls in the underworld is an act of compassion. While she does not at first join Ritsuka as a servant, she agrees to help them stabilize the singularity. In battle, Ereshkigal wields a cage of the underworld meant for imprisoning souls. It takes the form of a spear, Meslamtea, the very soul of her husband, Nergal, which she uses to establish her dominance as ruler of the underworld, as its light warms the earth's interior. In addition, she wears the hidden Great Crown, the very crown she claimed from Ishtar during her assault. It bestows upon Ereshkigal many of the same graces granted to Ishtar, only now in a darker form, befitting of an underground goddess. Even her noble phantasm gains its power as a derivative of Ishtar's legend. It is called Kur Kikal Irkala, an attack inverse to Ishtar's Angal Ta Kikalshe, derived from Ishtar's victory over the sentient Mount Ebi. Ereshkigal unleashes the underworld's punishment from beneath the earth, sending it upward to decimate the surface. While weaker than her sister's attack, it follows up by gracing her own allies, making it of comparable value. In a devastating twist, it is revealed that Gorgon is only serving as a false goddess for a more dangerous threat, Tiamat. All of Ritsuka's gathered allies team up to conquer this massive foe. The surviving humans of the Singularity fight against Tiamat and the swarm of demonic beasts unleashed from a chaos tide in its wake. Left with few options, Ritsuka's party devises a plan to defeat Tiamat once and for all. They intend to destroy the earth beneath Uruk to send the beast down into the underworld, where it will be vulnerable to Ereshkigal's assault. Sadly, to do that, the goddess must first move the underworld from its current domain to directly beneath the city, a process that would normally take her a couple of years. However, because she had been planning to assault the city regardless, much of that work has already been done. It will be a race against time before Tiamat reaches the city, but hope is finally in sight. Making their move, Ishtar manages to destroy Uruk's foundation, plunging the beast into the underworld, where Ereshkigal assaults it with searing heat. Sadly, this only forces Tiamat to reveal its true form. Regardless, this combined effort between the sisters serves as a critical move in ultimately destroying Tiamat's spiritual core. This victory comes at a price, however. Ereshkigal, in exchange for saving the future of humanity, sacrifices her own spirit core, forfeiting her own existence out of respect and adoration for Ritsuka. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please like, comment, and subscribe to OtakuDaiKun for more anime lists, reviews, discussions, lore videos, live streams, and the Holy Waifu Wars. If you're interested in seeing this channel grow, please consider becoming a patron or donating in a super chat during any of my weekly live streams. Also, feel free to check the description for my social media profiles, including an ever-growing Discord full of fans of anime and the Fate series. Until next time, celebrate your fandom.